Further ado, let's call the meeting to order first and foremost, and then move on to our first scheduled presenter. Just let me also add, this is number 4 of our 4 special meetings. Not knowing whether we will need to call any more special meetings, but 4 of 4 is what the plan is, and that's the way we'll leave it at this point. We have our regular scheduled meeting on Monday, March 8th. If there's a need be, we could probably, move some issues over to that meeting if necessary, although we're going to be limited by the posting deadlines. But anyways, the first presenters tonight, Board of Health.
Hi. Hello.
Can we have introductions, please? Can we have introductions,
hi.
please, so Mary gets the attendees?
Can you hear me? This
Yes.
is Becky Dubay, the chair of Board of Health. I'm actually on the phone, so I apologize. I can't go on Zoom tonight, but I'm
Okay.
here listening.
Okay, Becky.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Rooks. I'm the clerk of Board of Health. And I'm Jerry Swanson, the public health director.
Jerry. All right. Thank you for those introductions. And if we can, whoever is going to be the presenter, floor is yours.
There you go. Yeah, sure. I don't know if you have any questions about the budget that we presented. Ed basically said, please go ahead and do a level funded budget, which we did. Last year, we had a significant decrease in our expenses. We only had about $500 for the whole fiscal year. So I did put in there, I hope that we could at least be level funded as we had been previously over the years. And then the column 2 budget is with a 2% increase for the wages. We didn't ask for anything outrageous. I gave also another sheet with all our expenses, and it basically breaks it out into trainings, mileage, dues, mass health officers conference, legal advertising, printing, office supplies, equipment maintenance, which is cleaning, the printers and the secure fax. And then the 2 special projects are the mosquito control program, and we have the Sharps program that has been very successful for the seniors. And the expenses are just about $600 more than previous years. We usually ask for about this much, and in the past we've always been level funded. The original budget is usually $3,000, and then if we need more money during the winter special town meeting after free cash is certified, you'll notice on the expense sheets that's usually where we get a little bit extra money if we need it. But it's been a pretty slim budget for a number of years.
Well,
I know that. So friendly.
what was your secret in going from 3,000 to 500?
I'm sorry, pardon?
What was your secret going from 3,000 to 500?
It wasn't ours. The select did that when they were trying to balance the budget last year. And unfortunately, I was on vacation when that conversation was happening. So
I can speak to that. This
it
is
was
Maureen.
unfortunate.
Irene.
There's a lot of background noise. I don't know who's got background noise, but I just want to mention that last year was a very difficult year. As you know, the state money was severely cut. The decision was made to cut all departments 4%. Jerry, like you said, was on vacation, so we didn't feel comfortable taking it. Most other department heads came forward and said, take the money from here. We didn't feel comfortable doing that when she was on vacation for 2 weeks when this was all happening. So the money was taken out of the expense line with the expectation that that would be moved wherever she could accommodate it. So that's why it wasn't intended that she would land with such a small amount of expense money. The expectation was it would be absorbed elsewhere.
Okay, thank you.
But it was across the board. All
Actually, what we,
I'm sorry?
when the special town meeting was held in the fall, we the board requested an article be put on the warrant to put the $2,500 back, and the select board decided not to put the article on, even though we had $20,000 in free cash. So it was a little difficult this last year.
Well, no department.
But we're just hoping that.
Yeah.
Could I chime in here? We did not reinstate in the defense of the select board. We did not reinstate anyone's 4%. I mean, it was across the board. Each department had the discretion of deciding how they were going to economize, but it was equal. It was no department was individually singled out to be treated any differently.
We also have a
But let me point out, though, I don't think that you decreased any wages. Am I correct?
There were wages
decreased when you did
absolutely.
4%?
Department heads told us where to take the 4%, and some were wages, some were expenses. Because you were away, we didn't feel comfortable making that decision. So it was taken out of expenses with the expectation that you would then look at, or the Board of Health would look at where to take the 4%. We just didn't feel comfortable taking it out of wages without your input. So it was taken out of expenses. And, you know, the library, if the library was able to continue to get the certification, because if they were singled out or any department was singled out, then, you know, they wouldn't able to have the net minimum spending. So it's very important to us that we did not favor any department in this. We were severely cut last year. We were on a month-to-month budget.
You know, the other thing I think last year we also, and you know, we will have some funds in the beginning of this year if we need it for things like PPE or other pandemic related expenses, because the CARES Act was extended. So I'm sure that some of Board of Health expenses were accounted for in the CARES Act budget, like PPE, sanitizer, things like that. So I know that that's not listed in the Board of Health budget, but I know that we factored that into the equation when we were looking at some of our expenses, and we were trying to find ways to also money under CARES Act because we didn't have money to spend in our budget. So that some of those items are not listed in the Board of Health budget because we tried to get a little creative and find that money elsewhere. And we know that funds were extended through the end of the year, and we have asked, and I know Ed is working on this, for a little bit more detail on the remaining money that we have through the CARES Act as it relates to both wages, such as for the contact tracer, and for other pandemic related expenses like PPE. And once we have that information, it'll be a little bit easier for us to determine, you know, how to use our money going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still expenses that we cannot allocate to the CARES Act.
Oh, right. So
this is going, you know, go on for years. We're still going to have trainings, mileage. I mean, right now, I think we have 87 cents left and can't pay the mileage.
Well, the expectation was that the money would be moved over from wages. That was the expectation. We did not feel comfortable making that decision for the Board of Health.
Okay.
Well, I'm just wondering if we have $20,000 in free cash in the fall, even if we didn't want to allocate.
The fire department was cut $24,000. They didn't ask for any money during the interim. Like, Why would we offer additional funding for the Board of Health when there were?
Because you don't leave the Board of Health with $500 during a pandemic, Maureen.
You got.
I mean, if there are necessary things,
Yeah, I feel like I say this all the time.
I'm not going to argue about it. I think we need to move forward.
You got $9,000 to $10,000 from DPH, which you have used for wages. You've used for a number of things. You got CARES Act funding, which was unfortunately put into a big pot. We don't know what the balances are on those accounts. You're getting an additional $3,000 as soon as I can get myself down to town hall and sign for $3,000 more from DPH for the Board of Health. No other department came back to the town saying, give me my 4% back. All I'm saying is the expectation was that the Board of Health would figure out how to absorb those costs. And that has not happened, but instead, I keep hearing, you keep trying to take money from the Board of Health in the middle of a pandemic. You got a lot of funding towards COVID-19. I know you don't have money for all the inspections and the travel and all that. You can't use CARES Act money for that, nor DPH money for that. But the expectation is you're going to try to absorb it from the wage line. And I'm not going to say it anymore.
So is it possible to maybe move forward and talk about, any questions we might have for the upcoming year?
Yeah, that's where I was just going. My apologies for asking the question, because I didn't intend it for it to go in that direction. It was more rhetorical than anything else. Okay, any other comments as to, I guess I have a question on mosquito control, and pardon my novelty as far as, looking at these numbers. When was the mosquito control instituted?
It was voted on at the town meeting in, I'm looking for the town meeting vote. Let me tell you.
It says all municipalities are required to appropriate a minimum of $5,000 to the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District in order to join. So we are part of that district, and I understand that funding was cut.
Last page.
It was instituted in fiscal year 20.
Oh, great. There you go. And I believe that there was
it was Article 19, that's correct. And it was at the annual town meeting, May 7th, 2019. And that was when the town voted to join the mosquito district.
Okay.
And it says that you have to join for a minimum of a 3-year period. So that would we would still be within that 3-year period.
Okay.
Actually, that was amended.
Oh.
So you have to join each year in order to have the surveillance done for EEE, for Zika. We know that the mosquito is in the area for Zika, and with global warming, there's a concern. But
what's the legend?
That will be up to the Board of...
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's up to the Board of Selectmen to put that on the warrant also with our budget, and let the people in town vote on it if they would like to continue to be a member of the mosquito control district.
Okay, so what's the legend on the schedule? Donation gift in 2021? What does that mean? I have something on here that says...
Oh, maybe he's talking about the gift.
Matt Rowland paid for it.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
That's my note. Actually, one of the select board members, Matt Rowland, donated the $5,000 to continue with the mosquito control for fiscal year 21.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that an outside group that does the mosquito control would pay an outside group?
This is done through the State Reclamation Board and through and our Massachusetts Department of Agriculture. So it's a state program. The mosquito control districts, there's one on the, I'm not sure if there's one in the Berkshires now. There's one in the southeastern part of the state, and I'm not sure about central Mass. But we are currently members with Agawam, Berniston, Deerfield, East Longmeadow, Hadley, Northampton, Southampton, West Springfield, and Palmer. And I think the discussion at the town meeting was that if you do not join, and it wasn't holding it, the town hostage, but if we ended up with any issues as a result of the surveillance and we needed to do spraying or any kind of abatement, and there was grant monies available, we may not get the grant money.
Thank you.
Because the other towns would be supporting everything for the area.
Okay.
So, it's up to the town. They think that, they would like to continue with the surveillance program.
Okay.
And one of the commissioners for the Department of Agricultural Resources is in Southampton.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say that the question was, is this an outside group? And I actually do think it is. It's a group, we had a presentation during the town meeting, and it might be on video. I don't know that it's a state group. I think it is an outside group out of Westfield.
Excuse me, thank you. I'm watching.
I don't understand what you mean by an outside group. You mean who's going to do surveillance?
You want me to call?
Yes, I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the town meeting minutes and the actual presentation. I don't know, Ed, can you add any detail to what the original question was?
Well, we don't do it internally. It's nobody that's an employee of the town goes out and does the observation. So.
Okay. Isn't it a group out of Westfield?
It's all. I'm not sure that it's anybody out of Westfield. The actual surveillance would be done by a vendor that's determined by the commissioners in the area here, and it would have to be approved by MDR. I mean, we're not doing the surveillance. I can ask Meredith O'Leary because she's a commissioner.
All right. But it's probably being done in conjunction with the rest, the other members in the Pioneer Valley group, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Were there any other issues that you wanted to talk about before we go to questions?
I don't think so. No, I think it's, if it's possible, we put the 2% in for this year. If it's not, we've level funded.
All right. And okay. All right. Any questions from the committee?
I'll ask.
Mary? Yes, Mary.
In regards to personnel, could I just have a breakdown of what the hourly rate is and how many hours per week each individual is on the schedule for?
The health agent works hours a week, and her rate is $22.82. And I work, I'm scheduled 32 hours a week at $29.16.
And the health agent, I'm sorry, I didn't hear, was that also 32 hours a week?
No, 10 hours.
10. Thank you.
There's no admin in the office. I do both the admin's position and my position. And some of the inspections and the enforcement for COVID.
What did you say the health agent received?
2282.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Ken answered it. Thank you.
Oh.
I have an observation.
Yep.
When we're looking at budget scenario number 1, the animal inspector salary, so we're asking for 70 cents more than 21, is that correct?
That was maybe the 2%.
That's probably the 2%.
So that's 3,000.
Is it 70
It
cents?
says here, right here. Animal inspector, 3060 to 3120. It says that's with the 2% adjustment.
That's a 2% adjustment.
Yeah, it was $3,060. It's 3121.20.
I can see it's 2%.
I'm actually looking at just budget number 1. Budget number 1 where you said you're level funded. I was just curious if that's $3,060.70, if it's a typo, that it would stay the same as 2021.
Budget line.
All right, so for FY21, that Ed gave me, he had $3,060.
Correct.
So in budget 1, for animal inspector is $3,060, correct?
And 70 cents you have.
70 cents.
Where's this? I don't understand where the 70.
I think we might be, maybe we're looking at it. Oh,
In the
no,
year-to-year
I don't
change,
see, our
it's 70
says the
cents.
same.
Oh, I see in the bottom here.
Yes.
Is that the 86, the
No,
68, and the
that's-
16?
Not right.
What's point? And 0.86 plus 0.16 plus 0.7.
No,
Should be 60. That
there's no 76, so.
should be $61.
I believe that between,
Previously, I guess I'm missing this. Previously, it was $3,060, correct,
Right,
for the animal
right.
inspector salary?
Right.
So in that budget 1, it's still $3,060.
Yeah,
Because you were level funding it. Right.
Right, that's what, yeah, it shouldn't be
That's the level
3,060 and
funded.
70 cents.
I think that's just a
Where
typographic.
I don't have 70 cents on my,
Yeah, maybe we're looking at different paper.
we don't have 70 cents on our sheet.
Yeah, they're looking at the original one that you did before that you amended it.
Right, the one
should
that's dated February 8th.
All right.
The one with the 3
70
signatures on it.
Do you have the one with the 3 signatures?
do you want me to bring it up so we can all see it?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yay.
So those all add up to 71,690.7.
This is the one. This is
As
what-
far as we can.
Yeah.
This is the one I'm talking about. That we got this revised,
Oh,
and it shows 3,000.
All right, you have to go to the one that has the 3 signatures.
Right, which is 3060.
Right.
There you go.
Well, we were given the revised one because there was changes. I understood there was changes in the year-to-year amounts.
Right, because that one's dated 225.
And this one's 82,000. So this is the one we were working off.
the one I have in front of me is the one we saw. And
Yeah, I don't think there's any. if you got it, it's, it's just $3,060, the same as, 2021, level funded.
Thank you. And my final question is in regards to the increases in your budget scenario number 2. Could you tell us what your priorities are, 1, 2, 3? Did you already do that?
In scenario number 2,
yes.
Well, we're not going to touch wages. Actually, this would be a board decision.
So, but before you leave that, it says to comply with MGL. So we're not in compliance? So is that the implication?
That is partially the implication. Back in 2016, the state passed the Equal Pay Act, and it went into effect in 2018. That's still being negotiated.
With whom?
Between town council and my attorney. Because the Equal Pay Act is, you can go on the Attorney General's website, actually, and it gives you a very good description of the act itself and the paperwork you have to go through. And the board, 3 years ago, I guess, had written to the then select board and through Ed, and used, put the paperwork forward for the public health director's position. And COVID came along and everything came to a stop. So that's still in the process of being negotiated. And frankly, I'm not sure that anything will happen before you finalize this budget anyway.
Okay.
But we put it there because, as Ed knows, it's still in process.
Okay. All right. Mary, I think I jumped in on where you were going with this.
No, I'm okay now.
You are, all right. So we've identified what the 1, 2, and 3 are.
I don't know what Becky and Caitlin are looking at.
In terms of our priority for 2021 or 2022, is that what you're asking?
Yes, I think that was the question. Yep.
Well, I think we need to ensure that we have an adequate amount of resources between budgets and to ensure we have contact tracing in place. I think a priority would be ensuring that we can adequately compensate the health agent for her because she conducts a lot of the inspections in town. She's really a vital employee in helping us to ensure that we can collect revenue from, and I think it's really important that we take into consideration making sure that she has wages and compensation for mileage, because that was an issue this year. And I wish Becky could weigh in a little bit, but I really, I do think we have the CARES Act money that we're going to be able to use for hopefully like PPE and things, but we also need to make sure that we are, able to fund the rest of things in the department that we came up short on last year, just to fund, daily maintenance, daily operational costs.
And I think you need to understand, generally, the health department brings about almost.
Sorry, guys. I had myself on mute. So I agree with Caitlin, but then there's also the dues and the licenses that from the town and everything that we also need to make sure that we're financing, that we actually ran short of.
The instructions that were sent out require you to prioritize by number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. what you're asking for extra funding in budget scenario number 2. So Ken has asked, or one of the finance committee members has asked, what your priorities in order are.
Priorities are you keep the wages, which would include the animal inspector also, and that is our health agent as well. So wages are priority. The operating expenses are a priority. And if you don't want to fund the Sharps program and the mosquito control program, that's fine. What we will do then is charge for the Sharps containers and a fee for the disposal of the Sharps. Other towns do that. We've not done that in the past. You know, it's been funded, the Sharps program's been funded by taxpayers. So I think that the 3 priorities are you keep the wages, you keep the operating expenses, and if need be, then you know, the mosquito control will probably go, and you don't have to fund the Sharps program.
But that,
Can I just ask, do you have any idea what the fees might be for the Sharps program if users were then responsible for paying for it?
I would check with the surrounding communities to make sure that we were, you know, charging the same as other communities.
why, forgive me if this went over my head in our discussions here, why would we not do something that we've been doing since 2017 for Sharps?
Well, you mean the Sharps program? Because, well, actually, because you have taxpayers paying for a program that a small percentage of the population is using. And it costs a fair amount of money to dispose of the Sharps and also to buy the containers. Other communities charge for this.
Okay.
The town, and it was the town's decision not to at a town meeting. They wanted to fund it.
Right. Okay, so.
The other benefit to having the Sharps program in place is that it encourages appropriate disposal of Sharps, which is an environmental hazard.
Right.
It keeps the Sharps out of the waste stream, which means people are not getting a needle stick or, you know, the highway guys and the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
So is that good, Ed? 1, 2, and 3? And Ken, everybody's happy with 1, 2, and 3?
Got it. Thanks.
I guess I'm happy. I understand 1 and 2. I don't understand.
I don't get 3.
I'm sorry, Sharps and mosquito. Why would that be? Why would that be on your wish list to not fund them? Because I think that's what you were
I don't think it's on the wish list. I don't think it's on the wish list to not fund it. But you know, if you're asking for 1, 2, and 3, and there's not room for 4 things on a 3-item list, and we had to throw out either the mosquito program or the Sharps program. I mean, both of those are important.
Got it.
Important tools for our community to have, and so it's really hard to make that decision. But you know, you did ask for a 1, 2, and 3, so.
So I got 1 and 2. I don't know what the third one is.
So I mean, well, last year the mosquito control program was funded by a private grant because we all agreed that it was important. So I feel like if you were to pick a 3, that would be the mosquito control program, and then it's really up to. I mean, basically the town decided to fund the Sharps program because they thought it was a benefit to the. So And it's an environmental hazard to not have a SHARPS program in place.
Frankly, there really is no fluff in this budget. It's very straightforward, and we do our best to bring in the revenue to cover a fair portion of this. Granted, the revenues into the general fund, but I think we've been pretty diligent about making sure that, we try to, have adequate charges for the services. Mm-hmm. Inspections, reviews of plans, etc. Granted, the building department is in a fair amount of money, but we don't do too badly.
Do you have any idea what the revenues are for 2021 to date? I know there are issues.
I don't, and we lost our accountant in the fall, and we have a new person upstairs who's learning the process, so I didn't have an opportunity to see if she was even able to get that information for me. I asked her for some information yesterday, but she's just not sure about what she's doing.
Okay.
So I said I'd get back to her. There's been a lot of real estate moving this year, so we're probably pretty close. I think in the cover letter said, I think we're probably in at least the $43,000 range. You have to estimate. DOR does not like you to overestimate.
Yep.
And where you haven't finished, this fiscal year yet, we still have the spring with perk tests, more septic installations. We have all the inspections for all the trucks, etc., food trucks. So we still have more to go, and it's only March.
Right. Francine?
I just have a question on the last page where you itemize the 22 expenses. I think this is a mistake because I'm sitting here trying to figure out how we get to the total special projects of $5,300. And I'm assuming that's the two previous numbers, which should be 8,000. Is that right?
Right. That's what it looks like.
You're correct. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. What happens when you multitask? No, the total, yes.
The total special project would be 8,000.
Right.
Yep.
It would
For
be better if it was
those two,
53,
correct.
but it's
Right.
okay.
Yeah. No.
Because I was trying to back into it, and I was like, where? Okay. Thank you.
No, I missed that. Sorry about that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, if not, then thank you, members of the board. Appreciate your attendance and your submissions here, and thanks once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Sam, to you. Stay safe.
Take care, Jerry and Kate.
Thank you. Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. All right.
Can I just ask a question,
Sure.
just in general? Who goes over and just verifies the math here? Does the accountant the department get involved, or that's just left with the department heads?
Verifies what math on their narratives?
Well, on what they submit, I'm trying to figure out. I know if the total of this last column, it looks like they're saying it's $8,900, but now we have to go through and add up that last column, and it's going to be substantially more than 8,900. And then looking at their budget and backing into it and just making sure that all the numbers, you know, from one form correspond to the numbers in the other. That's all.
Yep.
Can I ask? I think isn't the formula in the spreadsheet already? And then no?
This is a worksheet she submitted that
I see.
I believe.
I see. Okay.
Well,
Okay, I'll just add it up while we're talking. That's all, just for myself.
It's 11,600, Francine.
Okay. So then if I go back to their budget and just look for the 11,600.
One would think.
Yeah, that's all I'm looking for.
And it looks like there's the propensity to override formulas, even if they might be in there, because even that year-over-year change in the original one that they had with that 70 cents, it shouldn't really, from budget 1 to budget 2, the change of that is actually a 2% increase, but that 70 cents doesn't seem to have any bearing anywhere, as if it was just entered there and overrode a formula. So there is that ability to do that.
So, for now.
let's move along. Building inspector.
Yeah, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks for hanging on.
I'm new to this, so I'm good. I'm the building commissioner in Southampton, zoning enforcement, and hopefully you guys got the budget in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is I'm relatively new to this position, so this budget that I'm presenting is a budget I haven't operated in yet for a whole year. So I assume it's going to be correct. I believe it's level funded, and we actually did some cuts out of it. So.
All right. You have any comments?
As far as the budget itself,
yes, yep.
think I'm pretty comfortable with it. I'm presenting to you guys what I think is something to work within. So.
Okay, so. Let's see, building inspector.
For the building inspector alternative coverage, do you have an individual in place? Is that pretty well known that?
Yeah, we have two alternate commissioners from different towns that'll fill in if I'm on vacation or out sick. So. And
that's a set price. That's pretty much the standard.
That's it's $40 an inspection. The $800, it's hard to say if it's going to cover it or not, because we can't really forecast where we're going to be at. You know, if I'm out sick next week. Right now we have 18 new houses going up Southampton. So, you know, if I'm out, depending at, you know, where the houses are in, you know, various stages, it could be a lot of inspections. It could be not a lot of inspections. It's hard to forecast that.
Mm-hmm.
So. Right now, that's why we come up with $800, and hopefully that covers it. I think it's been light in the past, but
and how long?
I guess go ahead. Sorry.
Forgive me. How long have you been on board?
I started in August. So
August. Okay.
We're going into the busy, as far as building is concerned, we're going into the busy season right now. The springtime is usually the busiest.
Yeah.
So.
And is that the reason that the inspector salary went from 61 to 51?
Yeah, that's what they hired me at. They reduced the hours. Yeah, I think the hours were reduced for the position. So that's where they came up with the new numbers.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the group?
I just have one question.
Yes, Mary.
Yeah. Hi, Ron. It's Mary. It's in regards to the gas, plumbing, electrical expenses. Could you just, I'm not familiar with your business.
It's actually, yeah, it's that expense is used for their training because they have to do yearly continuing ed to maintain their licenses. And then they also have to belong to their boards. So it's a requirement to be the inspectors. That's where that number comes into play. I think that's been underspent in the past. I talked to both the electrical and the plumbing, and they seem to be comfortable with where it was at as far as their expenses are concerned. The only thing that covers is continuing education. It doesn't cover anything else.
Are those contractors that we pay to perform that service, those inspections?
They're employees of the town, but they're paid per inspection. So they're paid a percentage of their fee.
Mary, which item are you questioning?
The gas, plumbing, electrical.
Oh, yeah. Yep, okay, all right.
That one.
Okay. I have a question on number 1, just for the language. You say a contractual increase. What contract?
When I was hired, I'm a local building inspector, so the state mandate is commissioner, so I'm almost there, which is kind of common for a lot of towns and cities. So it was agreed upon once I passed my last test, and then my salary would increase by 5%, depending on when I pass that exam. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen for the next couple of months because the state's kind of shut down as far as testing and stuff's concerned. So I don't see that happening for at least 4 or 5 more months. That increase.
That's right. When Ron was hired, the requirement would be that, he was certified as a commissioner or would be in a certain amount of time, and the salary he was hired at basically represents that he doesn't have that certification currently, and the select board agreed at the time that once he did become certified that he would be entitled to a 5% increase.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
If we look at the salary for 2021, it's 51,481, and if we level funded fiscal year 22, it should have been, unless there was some other arrangement, 51,481 in that first column, and the 2% would only occur in fiscal year in budget 2, which would bring that total to 52,511 instead of 53,824.
But it was 5%, not 2, right?
Correct.
Right.
Right. Correct.
Wait.
So that's a contractual increase. So therefore, if it does occur during fiscal year 22, and Ron is assuming that he will have that possibly around December or January, then we are contractually in need of paying that during fiscal year 22.
So that's being built into the budget.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Current amount is 51. The current amount is 51,481.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get a little bit more than that. the budget 2 number.
Yep.
Year-to-year change would be more like $2,574.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, okay. Other questions? If not, I thank you, Ron. Looks like we're done here.
Okay,
Unless there are any.
can I also, I'm also the tree warden in town, so I wanted to talk about that. I don't know if you have that information in front of you, the tree warden budget. If I can't talk about it, that's fine. It's just, I figure it'd be a good opportunity.
Did we get that, Mary?
You may not.
Do you want me to bring it up on the screen so everyone can see?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mary gets all these things that she does.
Yeah.
When she's so nice.
Can everyone see this?
All right, you guys can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, as you guys know, tree warden is a voluntary position, so it's not compensated. I've been operating with a, $8,000 budget for a while now, and it barely, I mean, if you guys look at the past numbers, for example, right now I have about $400 left in the tree warden budget to take me through July 1st. And as you can imagine, the other night with all the trees that, the wind that we had right now, we got a lot of trees that need dealt with that can't be. So that's why we're requesting more money next year. I mean, it's a big increase, but right now, July 1st, I already have 6 trees committed to on July 1st when we get the new budget, which is essentially going to put me back at almost zero on July. By the end of July, I'll probably have no money left in the tree warden budget again. So it's not a good situation, and it's tough to take phone calls and tell the residents that I don't have the money available to deal with the trees. It's tough to have to say that. That's why we're asking for more money. And the other thing is, lately it seems like we're just getting more and more of these microburst situations. Anyway, that's where that's at. I don't know if you guys have any questions as far as that goes.
This is enough.
Forgive me, Ron. You are the tree warden.
I'm the tree warden, which I've been for years now. So
how many years?
6 years. Six years in Southampton.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, it's a voluntary position. It's uncompensated. So
what's your volume? Uncompensated. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Do you have any any employees? Any helpers?
No. We use outside vendors to deal with the trees that need to be removed. They've gone up quite a bit too.
So you coordinate with outside vendors to do whatever work you determine needs to be done.
Exactly. Yeah. Any trees that are on town property that are deemed to be a hazard, whether they're dead, dying, hit with wind, whatever. I'm sure you guys seen Northern Tree. They were here in Southampton last year. They took down, Northern Tree took down for the power company, or paid by Eversource. They took down roughly 1,000 trees in Southampton that were deemed to be dangerous. They determined that they were, they're a hazard. So of those 1,000 trees that were removed, unfortunately, they're only on the same side of the road as the wires. If the trees on the other side of the road, then they didn't cover the removal of any of those trees. So with that being said, I mean, you would think if there were 1,000 trees that were removed on one side of the road, there's that many trees on the other side that are, that at some point are going to need to be dealt with. Obviously I can't do it with an $8,000 budget or a 15 or 20, but if we can increase the 8,000 to a bigger number, I think it'll be more realistic moving forward.
But you're saying that you will, by the end of this fiscal year, have fully expended that $8,000.
Right now, currently, I have $400 left in the tree warden, but that's all I have left. Which, unfortunately, that doesn't even cover the cost of a police officer for a whole day, which we generally have to have a police officer out to direct traffic. So.
And what about the trees we had down?
I mean, that's
in this last storm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's dealt with, by Randall and the highway guys. They have the equipment and stuff, but they can't deal with all of them because a lot of these trees, requires a bucket truck and a crane and everything else that they don't have. So, I mean, it's very dangerous work too. So, I mean, not all of that work should be handled by highway department.
Right.
I mean, every year I've been kind of going over my budget, as you can see from the past numbers. A lot of times that was either going to town meeting and asking for additional funds, or I mean, generally that's how it all happened as far as getting more money. But if at some point we can consider, at least raising the 8,000 to. I mean, maybe we can't go to, what's being requested, but we can probably raise it a little bit so we get a little bit more realistic with it. So just something for you guys to consider.
Okay. Questions?
I have a question for Ed, actually.
Okay. Still there, Ed?
He's on, I think he's muted.
Yeah, I'm muted because I'm not doing too well, so.
Yeah.
The brief.
But go ahead.
Ron had mentioned that he's already committed for work in July, which is fiscal year 2022, and he'll spend the money if we stay with 8,000 probably within that first month. My question is, can we actually commit funds prior to an appropriation being in place? I know at the federal level, we could not. When we would contract, we would have to say contingent upon funds, et cetera. But I'm just wondering at the municipal level how that works.
Let's put it in a different term. The tree warden currently has 4 trees which need to be taken down or should be taken down that he doesn't have money for. Therefore, for whatever money he gets for fiscal year 22, those are going to be the first 4 trees to come down.
Right. That's what I'm not committed contractually to take them down. It's just when the residents call, I have to basically, it's kind of triage, determine which ones are in the worst situation. And then I write a little list down, and then on July 1st, the guys that do the tree work, they're ready to respond, on July 1st or 2nd or whatever, when the money's refreshed. But unfortunately, by the time I go through that list, by August 1st, there's probably not going to be a lot left moving forward till the next year. So.
Who provides you with that list?
Residents, the residents call, I go out, I make a determination. When they call, it's pretty serious. The trees, the branches are dead. They're hanging out over the road. So I have to go out, I make the determination, and say, yes, that definitely has to be removed. Unfortunately, from a budgetary standpoint, we can't remove everything.
Right.
So it's a tough decision. It's a tough phone call to make sometimes. So.
Right. So what happened?
The first one, right?
Second.
What happens if somebody comes to you, let's say in March, and says, this tree should come down? You go out and
All done.
you go out and look at the tree.
I think,
and say,
right.
yes, I agree. But in this situation that Ed just talked about, if we don't have the funds, you can't do it in July, and there's a storm between March and July, and the tree falls on somebody's house. Who's liable?
That's a good question for legal.
As long as we know about it, we are.
Yeah.
And that's why I get worried about it. And this particular line item is one of my concerns that really isn't funded adequately.
Right. So Ron, your number one, obviously, is another $7,000. Right.
I mean, that's best case scenario. I mean, I understand that we have to operate with a budget. So I mean, yep. I think 15,000's a good number to be at. Which is going to allow me to respond a little bit more aggressively and not have to say, well, I agree the tree's in rough shape. However, we have trees, on East Street, for example. I'm not going to mention, which trees they are, but you drive down and look at some of them old maple trees that are 150 years old. Unfortunately, most of the maple trees along the edge of the roads are dying now, and some of those trees are pretty good size and pretty dangerous. So, unfortunately, I do have to make a decision that. Not everybody gets their trees taken care of.
What about the ash trees? Would the
ash trees are all dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ash trees are either dead now or they're in the process of dying, unfortunately. The emerald ash borer is definitely here. It's in Southampton. And unfortunately, they're, in the next 10 years, they're probably, unless they can find something to deal with that insect, there probably isn't going to be any ash trees left.
But those are the homeowners' issues anyways, right? That's not your issue.
Well, the ones along the edge of the road are. I mean, there's not a lot left now. There's some down on Brickyard Extension, for example. That road's not traveled that heavily. It's a dirt road on the side of Sheldon's. You'll see a lot of them down in that area that are standing dead. So Maple Street has a few that are standing dead right now. So yeah. It's not good.
Right.
Yeah, and if you look back at the last 3 or 4 years of expenses, one year was as high as $14,000. There's another year that was $12,000, and then Ron was just telling me that one of the contractors has just gone up on their prices, and that a 30-inch tree is $2,500 to remove. So it adds up quick.
Does.
Yep.
The $14,000 year, I believe that was microbursts that we had. I think we had a couple back-to-back heavy snow. I mean, I don't know if they were true microbursts, but they were definitely on a weather event that was kind of, out of the ordinary. So.
Well, those out of the ordinary weather events are getting more ordinary every year.
Mm.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Either from you, Ron, or from the committee?
No. Thanks for letting me add that to the agenda, the tree warden.
All right.
Stuff.
Okay.
So.
All right. I guess we're good. Thanks again, Ron. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye now. Take care.
Thank you.
Town Administrator Lucy.
All right.
Right.
Ed, you're next up. Are you good to go?
No, I'm fading fast, unfortunately. But if the committee would be kind enough, let me go over the employee benefits that I had a couple of line items in that Jen Day went over the other night. And if you'd be kind enough to let me do my own on Monday night during your regular meeting, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay.
Ed, I'm sorry to hear you're not well.
Yeah. I have a condition that pops up every once in a while, and it does a number on me.
I hope you feel better, Ed.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So do I. Usually this blows through in about a day, so I should be hopefully pretty much back to normal by tomorrow.
Okay.
Is it by any chance coordinated with the budget process?
Well, you know, actually, this used to pop up, you know, once a month or once every couple months. Probably over the last 5 or 6 months, it's been getting a lot more frequent. So I wonder if stress does have something to do with it.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, let's move right along and have at it.
Sure.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. And going back to that employee benefits, there was 2 lines on it that I'm responsible for. One is the insurance general line item, and the other is the workers' comp line item. And let me see if I think I brought it with me, but it's also printed extremely tiny on my sheet. So on the workers' comp, which is a really, in my opinion, large increase for this particular year. In fiscal year 21, that was $47,000. For fiscal year 22, it's going to be $67,608. It's about a 44% increase, and it's derived because we're coming off a year with, shall we say, very poor performance, or a lot of, shall we say, on-the-job accidents. There in this particular year, we had a number of them. However, we had 2 that were, shall we say, one was a decent cost, and one it was very high. We had one that basically the claim is about $25,000, and the other one, the claim is $275,000. So, unfortunately, we are coming off a very poor year as far as ratings go. Maya does use the state rating system, so there's nothing unusual about it. You know, so for this particular year coming up, we've got a 44% increase, which is just about $20,000 in the workers' comp insurance line item.
Are those 2 issues in what, highway or fire, or?
The lesser the ones in highway, the higher the 2 is in school.
School.
Yeah. And I will traditionally tell you, believe it or not, that probably traditionally what not only any particular community sees, but in general, usually the 2 highest claim areas are schools and believe it or not, also the other one is ambulance service because of the lifting of the patients and back injuries.
Okay.
Ed, for the school claim, was there some type of corrective action, or was there the ability to have a corrective action to ensure that it won't happen again or be less likely in the future? Do you know?
I'm going to start getting more involved with some of the school stuff. I believe it was, but what I'm thinking of doing, if the select board will let me, is probably making a safety committee together of some of the different departments to review some of the incidents and see if anything specifically can be done about them to be more preventative.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of, even in these, there's not anything that I've seen that is, shall we say, repeating or anything. They all seem to be kind of little individual little incidents. Probably the most common, at least in like schools, are slip and falls. Whether that be from wet floors, whether it be from, ice or snow or what have you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Insurance, any other questions on the workers' comp? Okay. The general insurance, Ed?
Yeah, general insurance for fiscal year 21, if I can read across the this and get to the right column, it was $96,500. A couple of things are going on. Every year they will reevaluate our town buildings and facilities, and they start at the what would be the most expensive, and then they work their way down. A couple of years ago, they did the Norris School. So they've re-rated some of our buildings again. So that's part of why this is going up. And then the other thing is we have over the last probably year and a half or so replaced some of our older equipment and vehicles with newer equipment and vehicles. So that's causing our rates there to go up a little bit. So our property and liability, which is the general insurance, is going up to $104,100, which is a $7,600 increase.
Okay. All right. Any questions on those two line items? All right.
And it's also the general insurance. It is property and liability. One of those is our vehicles. So one of the things that I also try to keep an eye on is that as we replace equipment, that whatever we're replacing, I want to make sure that either it gets traded in on whatever we're purchasing, gets auctioned off, or whatever. What I don't want to see happen is sometimes you'll see, that what used to be a Crown Victoria in the police department and probably now is more like Explorers or some other type of vehicles. One would be coming to the end of its life and it would be getting replaced, and all of a sudden, whether it's a highway superintendent or, a building inspector or a town administrator or whatever would come along and say, oh, geez, that would come in handy and we can use it for this or that. And, we'll save on the mileage or whatever, but now you're increasing the number of vehicles in your fleet, and that has additional costs to it, and it's as far as insurance goes, and it's always one of the last things that those departments that are saying, well, give me the hand-me-down and we can use it or whatever, they don't think about those insurance shall we say complexities or additions.
Okay. Questions? No. All right. So the balance of your presentation, Ed, you want to move to Monday? Is that right?
If you'd let me, I'd really appreciate it, please.
All right. Mary, what does that do to us logistically?
The agenda hasn't been posted. I'm waiting for your comments back. So I have to do it by tomorrow so we can have our meeting on Monday. So we can include that under other business, other pressing business, or I'll add a specific line. Because I have already included budget review status. So we could fit Ed under there and then talk about some of the outstanding ones we still have to go.
Okay.
Yeah, and you might just list, any outstanding budgets on there as an item too, and then you can cover any of them.
Well, if I do that, would the expectation be we're going to be discussing them specifically? I don't have any information on it.
I think I've sent you everything, but let me take a look and make sure that I haven't gotten any other ones in the last couple of days that I haven't sent you, because I sent you the EMD one. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you did. Got that one. The only one that the department heads that we're waiting for is Norris, which we know is we're going to be discussing it on Monday during their school committee meeting, and then the water enterprise is the other one that is.
Well, like I say, the water and the transfer stations they take a totally different form. So I can actually ask the water commissioners and Randall if they will just come in and generally talk about those two enterprise funds with you.
We would do a separate meeting for that, right, Ken? Or we would roll it into our regular meeting on Monday.
You could, if you'd rather do it in a separate meeting, you can do that. That's fine.
What do you want to do?
If you're gonna do the two enterprise funds, you might want to do it in a separate meeting.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I'd probably do it in a separate meeting, I guess.
Yeah, because the idea behind an enterprise fund is that they're self-sustaining. The revenues cover the costs. They don't necessarily always. I've seen here in Southampton, they will sometimes use their retained earnings to cover some of the costs in the enterprise fund. I have seen some communities even actually supplement them a little bit with taxpayer dollars, which you can do. It's not ideal. As long as you're not using a lot of taxpayer dollars to supplement that enterprise fund, if you're like doing it for like 5% or maybe 10% at the most, the DOR is okay with it. But anything more than that, they will actually get on you about it not being a real enterprise fund, and that you should change your accounting methodology for that particular activity.
All right. Mary, could you resend me what you need?
Sure, I'll do it right after this meeting.
Okay, fine. Just to make sure that we're
And then
on the same page.
I also need your edits on the annual town report.
Yep, we got that. Okay. All right, so Ed, we'll put you on the invites for Monday.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I'm here to host your meetings anyway, so you know I'm going to be here, so I won't escape.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you. Like I say, usually this will blow through in 24 hours, so hopefully I'm back to myself tomorrow.
All right. All right. Looks like that's all of our line items. Our next scheduled meeting, Monday, March 8th at 5:30 p.m. Anything else that you want to discuss before we adjourn? Any comments? All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn for the night.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor? We have to go by name, unfortunately.
Barbara, aye.
Rachel, I.
Mary, aye.
And aye. All right. We are done. Stay safe, everybody. Have a good weekend, and
Monday.
we'll see you on
See
Monday.
you Monday.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care. Ken, you're in my paths will probably cross once or twice more in the parking lot between now and then.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time there lately.
Yes, you have. Almost as much as me.
All right. Take care, folks.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye-bye now.
Appreciate it.